It's here, one of the most unlikely partnerships in the semiconductor industry. Longtime rivals Intel and AMD, battling out of x86 dominance for over 35 years, are now co-conspirators. Take one part Intel's high-performance 8th generation processor core, one part with AMD's efficient Vega graphics, mixed together with 4 GB of HBM memory and sprinkle in some high-performance interconnect. The new products are officially labeled as Intel 8th generation core with Radeon RX Vega M graphics, although this will be shortened to Intel with Radeon graphics for ease of use. Intel with Radeon graphics is strictly speaking a new Intel-specific product, to be marketed and distributed as such. Today's official launch builds on the platform announcement made late last year, with added additional specifications, confirmation of the feature set, and a series of new products based on Intel with Radeon graphics are set to be announced this week at say from Dell, HP, and Intel's own NUC. Aside from the NUC, we've been told to hold the other vendor information until their embargo times have arrived. As we explained in our previous coverage, Intel with Radeon graphics uses an H-series Intel central processor and an AMD Radeon graphics processor as two distinct bits of silicon on the same package, a multi-chip package. Intel is buying the graphics processor from AMD, much like any other silicon purchase, and as a result, AMD's involvement is strictly business. The graphics processor part is designed by AMD's semi-custom division that deals with custom designs, such as the chips that go into Sony's PlayStation 4 and Microsoft's Xbox line. The graphics is connected to high-bandwidth memory, specifically the second-generation HBM known as HBM2, and the connection between the two uses Intel's new embedded multi-die interconnect bridge technology, or EMIB for short. In other words, Intel CPU AMD GPU HBM2 EMIB acronyms are ablaze with these new chips. The new products are an expansion of Intel's traditional mobile product segmentation, which up until this point has been known as YUH. The new products fall under the G name, designed to combine the high performance of AH processor with the versatility of a U processor. The overall list of 5-6 segments, including the desktop and extreme segments, now looks as follows: Y SoCs up to 4.5 W for portable fanless designs and 2 inches ones, U SoCs around 15 W for sleek high-performance lifestyle products, H CPUs around 3.5 W for 5 W, offering more cores for larger enthusiast notebooks, G CPUs with additional graphics up to 100 WS desktop processors, X a special segment for high-end desktops based on server processors may or may not have a separate graphics chip. The G-class Intel with Radeon graphics processors being launched today are bigger than the standard processors that we would normally expect for mobile platforms, coming in with a TDP of 65W and 100W, although how power is managed between the two is part of Intel's story with the new processors. Without further ado, the specifications for the new parts are as follows: Intel's 8th generation core processors with Radeon RX Vega M graphics, Core i7-8809G, Core i7-8709G, Core i7-8705G, Core i5-8305G, CPU UART Kaby Lake COM package graphics, PGPU Radeon RX Vega M GH Radeon RX Vega M GL CPU cores 4, 8, 4, 8, CPU base FREQ 3.1 GHz 3.1 GHz 3.1 GHz 2.8 GHz CPU Turbo FREQ 4.2 GHz 4.1 GHz 4.1 GHz 3.8 GHz PGPU Compute Units 24 CUs 1536 SPs 20 CUs 1280 SPs PGPU Frequency 1063 MHz 1190 MHz Boost 931 MHz 1101 MHz Boost PGPU Pixels Clock 6432 CPU PCIe lanes 8 to Radeon graphics 8 for other use 8 to Radeon graphics 8 for other use. Chipset PCIe 200 series derivative 1420 PCIe 3.0 lanes 200 series derivative 1420 PCIe 3.0 lanes package TDP 100W 65W HBM2 capacity 4GB 4GB HBM2 frequency 800 MHz 700 MHz HBM2 bitwidth 1024-bit 1024-bit HBM2 bandwidth 204.8 GB 179.2 GB quoted SPPEF up to 3.7 teraflops SP up to 2.6 teraflops SP Intel HD graphics HD 630 HD 630i GPU frequency up to 1100 MHz up to 1100 MHz DRAM dual channel DDR4 2400 dual channel DDR4 2400 ECC no VPRO no yes no overclocking CPU iGPU PGPU HBM no each of the new parts is a quad-core design using hyperthreading with Intel's HD 630 GT2 graphics as the traditional integrated low-power graphics side GPU for video playback and quick sync. This is connected via 8 PCIe 3.0 lanes to the package graphics PGPU chip, the Radeon RX Vega M, leaving 8 PCIe 3.0 lanes from the CPU to use for other functionality GPU, FPGA, RAID controller, Thunderbolt 3, 10 gigabit Ethernet. On the Radeon RX Vega M graphics, there is one version of the silicon for which there will be two variants. GH will be the highest part H for high with 24 compute units 1536 INC processors, 64 pixels per clock, running at a base frequency of 1063 MHz and can boost up to 1190 MHz. The second variant is the GL Part L for low, with 20 compute units 1280 INC processors, 32 pixels per clock, running at a base frequency of 931 MHz and can boost up to 1011 MHz. Both PGPU Radeon variants will have access to 4 GB of HBM2 as an immediate graphics memory. This is not available to the CPU as DRAM. With one stack of HBM2, this means a 1024-bit bus width, which for the GH parts runs at 800 MHz for 208.6 GB bandwidth, or for the GL parts runs at 700 MHz for 179.6 GB bandwidth. Intel likes to stress that this bandwidth is only possible due to its EMIB technology, as currently all non-Intel HBM2 products available require an expensive bulky interposer that adds shape by using EMIB. Intel claims the performance is on par with an interposer without the added bulk or most of the cost. Only the Core i7-8809G, the highest placed processor, will offer overclocking. Intel has defined this chip as able to overclock the processor core, the integrated graphics frequency, the packaged graphics frequency, and the high bandwidth memory frequency as well as system-level DRAM. Overclocking will be dependent on how the vendor implements the feature set and software. Nominally, Intel is stating that in Windows 10, the CPU iGPU can be overclocked through Intel XTU software, while the PGPU in HBM2 will need AMD's Radeon Watman software. It is not clear if an Intel-specific version of the latter will be distributed, given that when asked where the driver software stack for the Radeon graphics should come from, we were told, all the software will come from Intel. Consider this a fully-enabled Intel processor. We confirmed with Intel that all the processors support VTX and VTD, and that none of the processors support ECC. Only the i7-8709G, the non-overclockable 100W processor, is VPRO-enabled.